I'm going to call the Board of Supervisors back to order. We are now on agenda item 21A, discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of a person to the position of the Carson City Public Defender effective July 1, 2023, and the fixing of the starting annual salary of not more than $151,444.50 in the first fiscal year of the appointment. Ms. Hicks, is there any opening discussion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On June 1st, the Board of Supervisors approved the corrective action plan under Nevada Revised Statute 180.450 between Carson City and the Nevada Department of Indigent Defense Services to address the inability of the Nevada State Public Defender's Office to provide a full range of services for Carson City, and amended Carson City's Indigent Services Plan to provide primary indigent defense services from a newly created Carson City Office of the Public Defender. In accordance with NRS 260.010, the board is responsible for appointing the public defender who serves at the pleasure of the board. The city received one applicant for the position from Charles H. Odgers, and he is here today.
Thank you so much. Mr. Odger, you want to come and get on the hot seat? Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for applying for this position. Why don't you start off a little bit and tell us why this position is important to you? Yes.
Okay. This is new to me.
They're all different, every mic system.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to come before you. The real issue before the city is, what are we going to do about indigent defense? I led the State Public Defender's Office for 3 years. I have in the audience with me my prior bosses, both Diane Crow and Karen Kreisenbeck, who were former public defenders for the state. Indigent defense is not something that is cheap. It's expensive. And the problem is that if the defense attorneys don't do our work, then those cases are going to come back and we're going to be retrying them. We have a trial that was scheduled on a murder case that came back 20 years after the conviction. And the problem is that it was a simple, ineffective claim that the Ninth Circuit found. So by having quality indigent defense, we can limit or eliminate having cases being tried multiple times. So for me, that's what it's about. It's making sure the Constitution is correct, that defendants' rights are protected, and that we look at the cost of doing trials. That's what we do.
That's what you do. Have you had a chance to review all the documentation that we've put around our resolutions, our staffing patterns, and everything that we've set up for this office?
I have looked at everything except for the ordinance, and I couldn't find that, so I apologize. I couldn't find that in the
Packet.
materials.
There you go. Are you satisfied that you can do what you just said with what we've put together?
I think the people that have submitted letters on my behalf and emails on my behalf are a better say than for me to sit here and tell you I can do it. I believe the past performance is indicative of what future performance is going to be like.
And then my last question, can you talk to me a little bit about how you see organizing your office structure?
In which particular manner are you asking?
How the attorneys, are they going to handle all types of
Oh.
cases, certain types of cases? How do you see that working?
So when we first discussed the development of the office, I had asked for a couple of supervising attorneys so that we would have one attorney, supervising attorney, responsible for each of the justice courts, and then a corresponding deputy to assist in that department. As a public defender, my job is to also take a caseload, including the Category A felonies, and to bring the younger attorneys along, teach them how to do Category A felonies so that when I retire, and I have an expiration date of about 5 years, I have somebody that you guys can appoint that is qualified to replace me, much like Ms. Kreisenbeck and Ms. Crow did in their training of me. The best way to deal with this is really, as the DA has set up as well, is we have 2 deputies in each department to deal with whatever comes into that particular department, including whatever their appeals are. The difference with the State Public Defender's Office and this office is I also requested a supervising attorney to do the 432B cases and the juvenile cases. Under the statute, the State Public Defender's Office does not do termination of parental rights. By the creation of this office, that provision will no longer apply. So that supervising attorney will now be responsible for doing termination of parental rights, which means that some of the people that you've had to appoint to do that work will no longer have to be appointed. And I requested a deputy part-time to work for her, part-time to work for me on the criminal side, so I can bring that deputy along as well. So structurally, that's how that is set up.
I really appreciate it. Supervisor Giomi, you want to go next?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for applying, and it's quite a task in front of you to start an office. It's quite a task for the city to take this over, but I'm excited because I think it's the right thing to do. You know, you're going to have to staff an entire office. So I'm interested in what you look for in attorneys when they come to work for you in a public defender's office. What are the criteria that makes a good public defender stand out for you?
Living
And
and
how will
breathing.
you and how will you apply that as you select your staff, not just the attorneys, but the investigators and the office staff?
So, interesting question, because the short answer is you have to run the office like a family. That's the way I've run every office I've worked in, including where I'm at right now in Douglas County. I treat all of them as if they're family members. So you have to have a cohesive team, and part of that is fit. If you don't fit with the team, if you can have polarized views politically outside, but when we're in here, we have to work together and be able to gel together. I don't know what the supervisors do or don't know, but most of the staff that work with me at the State Public Defender's Office, if not all of them, have applied for this new position to come over. So the initial staffing of it is we're bringing back part of the band. We're not bringing back the whole band, but we're bringing back part of the band. And that left us with 2 vacancies on the deputy side, to which I reached out to young attorneys that I know that have worked with, or that people I know have worked with and have come highly recommended. And my understanding is they have applied as well. So as far as staffing, the first step is you got to fit. You got to fit with everybody else. We can't have polarization. It doesn't work. And in this society where we're polarized, I need to have that as a neutral area. Whatever your opinions are, one way or the other, that's fine. But in here, we all have to do everything. I'm not above doing secretarial work. I used to enter my own time. I used to enter my own cases. I used to enter my own calendaring because my secretaries needed a break because they were working shorthanded. So that's what I'm looking for, is cohesiveness. Secondarily, I prefer to have young attorneys that don't have bad habits already, so I can teach them bad habits. Right? Everybody comes, when you hire somebody for your work, everybody comes with some experience, and you want to capitalize on it. I want to capitalize like the young attorney that I'm talking to that is taking the bar in July, that will be the part-time on the 432B, part-time on the criminal side. He wants to do that type of work. I happen to have a need for somebody to do that type of work, so it's a good fit, and we have experience with them. So that fit is very important to me. And if I have that fit, and if I have that dedication from the staff, and I show them that same dedication, they will move mountains for me as they have.
I have one more question, which is one I often ask in interviews, and I don't actually have the power I'm about to describe. I wish I did. But if I did have the power to grant you a professional do-over, to go back in time any distance you wanted, what would you use that professional do-over on, and why?
So everybody here is aware that I got disciplined by the state bar back in in 2013. I've never hidden from it. There's more to the story than what you read in the Supreme Court.
Almost always is.
But the long and short of it is I went into business with a group called 702 Traffic. And before we entered into that contract agreement, I worked with an attorney and we went to the state bar. We went through some policies and procedures manuals, and the state bar council at that point approved it. State bar council left, new state bar council came in, change of management, change of decision, I paid the price. I'm not hiding from what I did. I never have, never will. But it's that decision that has made me do what I do today with the fever that I do it with. I won't ever put myself or allow anybody else to put themselves that work for me in that type of ethical dilemma where we're going to get ourselves in trouble, potentially lose our license. Doesn't happen. So my do-over, I don't think I have one, because everything that I've done, good, bad, or indifferent, has led me here to this minute, to that question.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Supervisor White?
Thank you. I noticed in your application that it said you would accept day shift. Well, indigent defense doesn't happen just 9 to 5. So if you're working day shift, how do you make the whole thing happen?
Do you see the young blonde-haired lady back there in the back row? That's my wife. You can ask her how many times I've been at the jail at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and how many Saturdays and Sundays I spent at the jail with my clients, even clients that hadn't been appointed yet. Because I'm required ethically, strategically, and by legislatively to provide them that service if they ask for it. And more times than not, I'm in there before they even ask. The goal here is to make sure that their rights are preserved as soon as we know about it from that point forward. It's day shift, night shift, weekend shift. I can tell you that the day that my mother died, I was doing 48-hour hearings. The day my father-in-law died, I was doing 48-hour hearings remotely. So I can't answer it any other way.
Thank you.
Supervisor Horton?
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Thanks for coming in. Doing well.
Thank you.
I have a whole list of questions.
Sure.
But you've answered most of my important questions so far. I wanted to make a comment, though. You said earlier that you treat your staff like a family.
Yes, sir.
I think that's critically important. As we all know, our employees are our single greatest asset. And without the clerks and clerical staff and assistant attorneys and everybody else in the office, the machine doesn't work. So I applaud you for that sentiment. It's important to take care of your folks and to build that environment. And I know that you'll go forward and do that. And I was happy to see all the glowing recommendations on your behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Schutte?
Hello, and thank you so much for applying. You've partially answered my question as well, but I'll ask it anyway, and then I'm sure there's other examples. So in your application, you wrote that in addition to your experience as an attorney, there were other life experiences that make you a unique candidate. And so can you share another experience that you believe will help you in this role?
One of the major problems that we are facing today in the next 2 weeks is opening up an office. Thanksgiving of 1990, I was activated for Desert Storm. Sorry. I left my wife and 4 children that day. Sorry. We landed in Okinawa on Christmas Day, and my job was to activate 1,500 reserve Marines to active duty Marines. I had 30 days to do it, 30 days to get people paid, 30 days to get families taken care of. I accomplished that. And as a result of that, I received the Navy Achievement Medal for doing so. It's because I work 24/7. It's what has to happen, and I don't do anything that I don't ask my staff to do. And the simple reality is that, again, those 1,500 Marines, they were my family. So it's what I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any additional questions? I do want to comment and thank all of the general public that has had the opportunity to work with you. They were definitely, I thought, glowing recommendations and even candid recommendations, you know, not just cookie cutter, 20 matching ones that you orchestrated. So that gives me complete confidence that we're making the right decision. I respect the vast majority. Some of them I don't know, so I'll just respect you automatically. But all of those that I do that sent in, greatly respect them. So for them to pen their name to a letter recommending you says a lot. And I think this community is going to be in great shape. And you might not get a full 30 days to activate,
It's
right?
I-
Sorry, we're
it's
like really pushing you here,
It's
but
only 1,500 defendants, so it'll be much quicker.
There you go.
I've got some timeline.
there you go. So I feel very confident in our selection of you as our new public defender. And I hope that what you said about family, you actually end up feeling the very same thing about Carson City, because that's
Yes,
what we
ma'am.
think. So
Thank you.
that's my comment. Anybody else? Ready for a motion? Supervisor Giomi, hit the button first.
I move to approve to appoint Charles H. Odgers as the public defender effective July 1, 2023, contingent on passing the background check, and fix the starting annual salary for fiscal year 2023-24 at $151,445, because I think you're worth the extra 50 cents a year.
Is there?
Second,
Yeah. Is there a second?
second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. We might have just messed up the payroll people, but, you know, I see someone else that we did pay parity, so I might owe someone else 50 cents now, but we'll work it out. Okay. Thank you so much and welcome to our team.
Welcome.
We really want to say that.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team. We have high hopes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Aw. That's great. Okay, we are on final public comment of our agenda for today. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, I'll just.
Clap was it?
Well, I was
Okay.
just going to offer up the 50 cents to anyone who needs it from my personal budget. So I just apologize if I messed anybody up. Take it out of my pay.
But do we need to cover benefits as well? Do I need to contribute to? Okay.
But it'll be very brief. So as soon as everyone clears, they don't understand.
So, Madam Mayor, are you
Yeah.
adjourning?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're adjourned to 20. Thank you.